Ray and you're watching Ray of Books. Today's video is going to be the second volume in my currently checked out series. If this is your first time ever seeing my currently checked out videos, the purpose of these is to raise awareness about the different programs and resources that public libraries provide. I live in San Francisco, so the public library system that I utilize the most is the San Francisco Public Library System. I also tend to use some other library systems in the Bay Area. At the end of each video, I will be including a price tally of how much money I saved by utilizing the public library. Now that general housekeeping is out of the way, let me tell you about the books that I currently have checked out. The first book that I have checked out is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book I had on hold for so incredibly long, it feels like, and I completely and totally forgot about it when it first came in. But I am excited to read it for two reasons. One, it's written by a Black woman and it's a romance book. And two, the main character has a chronic illness. I have a lot of family members and a few friends who suffer from chronic illnesses, and it's really nice to see chronic illnesses represented in contemporary romance. I think it's absolutely amazing, and it's kind of one of those like diversity and inclusion matters, and to see that love happens is good. It's a good thing. So I am pretty excited to be reading this book sometime soon. I kind of started on it, but then I got sidetracked by Beloved by Toni Morrison. The second book that I checked out is The General's Cook by Ramin Ganeshwaram. If anyone can do the whole phonetic thing of how to say this, I would greatly appreciate it. I came across this book at Noe Valley in their new book section, even though it's not exactly very new. It looks like they got it December 2018, so like 2 years ago. I can't do the math. Anywho, a few years ago I read Bound to the Fire, which is a nonfiction book that focuses on the lives of enslaved chefs in Virginia, and Hercules, homeboy on the cover right here, is mentioned in that book, and he was the chef of George Washington. Now, I've tried to read a book that was entirely about Hercules, like a nonfiction book, but I just could not get into it. So I was really excited to see a fiction version of the story, because I think I might be able to get more into a fictionalized version than the actual history. So I'm very excited to read this one eventually. The third book that I checked out, and that I was actually incredibly lucky to check out, and please excuse the pun, was Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Water Dancer. So many of you guys mentioned it in the last currently checked out video, that it's a book you either had on hold, or that you currently checked out, or that you're currently reading, that I felt like I should finally get around to picking it up. So I lucked out and I saw it on the Lucky Day shelf, and if you go to the San Francisco Public Library, there are a few branches who have this collection called Lucky Day, which allows you to instantly check out popular bestsellers that have incredibly long hold lists. So if I had placed a hold on this, I would have been like 430 something in line, but instead I got to skip the list and just grab the book. I really don't have much of an idea of what this is about. I understand there's something about magic in it. It's kind of fantasy-ish to the best of my knowledge, but yeah, I also heard that I got a whole bunch of mixed reviews, so I'm a little bit nervous about reading this, but I'm also excited to read it. And the fourth item that I have checked out is Love in Catalina Cove by Brenda Jackson. I read a few of her Westmoreland books last year, and I absolutely love them. But I am the type of reader who, once I start a series, I don't want to stop until the series is done, or until I've hit a point in the series where I can't keep going because the next book hasn't been published or what have you. So there are a lot of books in the Westmoreland series, and I don't want to spend that much time reading just one author. So when I saw that this was the first book in a brand new series by her, I felt like it would be a really good place for me to kind of dive into Brenda Jackson's works and maybe go back to the Westmoreland series when I'm feeling like I just want to binge on her books for a while. From what I understand, this is something to do about someone who inherits their mother's B&B back in their hometown, and there's some drama and something about the sheriff, and it just seemed like a pretty interesting story. Also, Brenda Jackson is a Black lady, and I'm all about reading Black romances, and yes. And the last three books that I currently have checked out are all about stretching. I have the back of a 50-year-old warehouse worker who never took a vacation a day in their life. And those are a doctor's words, not mine. It's literally what my doctor told me when I injured my back a while ago, and going through physical therapy, they were like, your back is pretty jacked. So I've been feeling a little bit more back pain and a little bit stiff, and I've also realized that I can't touch my toes without like without discomfort, and I took my flexibility for granted. I didn't realize that as I got older, I would lose my flexibility. So I checked out a whole bunch of books on stretching from the library because I'm too cheap to actually go back to the doctor, and also too cheap to pay for a gym or a stretching class or anything like that. So libraries, saving me one step at a time. The first of the stretching books that I have checked out is 1500 Stretches, The Complete Guide to Flexibility and Movement. I actually kind of regret checking this one out because I absolutely hate the way how it's formatted. It's essentially just pages and pages of stretches, and I don't know where to start, I don't know where to end, I just don't know. So this book is not incredibly helpful to me, so I really am glad I didn't buy it because I think this is like the $35 book and I would have basically wasted $35. The second of the stretching books, and one that I kind of just got for giggles, is Even the Stiffest People Can Do These Splits, a 4-week stretching plan to achieve amazing health by someone just named Aiko, no last name. I could dig that. Basically, this book says that in 4 weeks you can do the splits or become close to doing the splits. And I would like to learn how to do the splits. Not for wholesome reasons, but I would like to learn how to do the splits. So I might vlog my 4-week journey to doing the splits and seeing if this book actually does what it says it's going to do. And the last stretching book that I checked out, and the best one for me, was Stretching to Stay Young. Simple workouts to keep you flexible, energized, and pain-free by Jessica Matthews. And that's what I want to do. I want to stay young. I would like to be flexible, energized, and pain-free because I live off of a diet of energy drinks essentially. And if I could be energized through stretching, whew, game's over. But I really, really, really love how this one is laid out. There are different stretches for different body parts and it's broken down really cleanly. There are different stretches for different activities. There's like workday stretches, after a long phone call stretches. There's stretches you should do before you go hiking or running or cycling, and there's like specialized routines and easing aches and pains. So I really, really, really love how this book is just laid out. And this is one that I actually might end up buying for myself because I need some ease in my life. And I also did a few of the stretches from it and I really, really enjoyed them and I had a good time doing them and they did make me feel a lot better. So thumbs up. And next up are the non-book things I have checked out from the library. The first of which is this Blu-ray Anonymous. I can't tell you anything about who's in it or even who directed it because I don't know how to provide that information. Okay, so it's directed by someone named Roland Emmerich and was written by John Orloff. Basically, I checked this one out to a patron, they returned it back to me and they're like, that movie's really good, you would really like it. It's a patron who I've had some dialogue with before, and I looked at the back and I think like the first thing was, oh no, I looked online and like the first thing was like, was Shakespeare a fraud? And I was like, I can get behind that. But basically it was who was the author of the plays credited to William Shakespeare. It's set against the backdrop of the royal court of Elizabeth I, and that's kind of my jam. So I haven't watched it yet, but I'm excited to watch it. And the next thing, I don't have an item that I can hold up because it's something I actually streamed from Kanopy. A few nights ago, my fiance and I were deciding to have like a little movie night, and I wanted to prove to him that the Batman franchise was not going to be dead because Robert Pattinson, is that his name? Pattinson is going to be our new Caped Crusader. So we were going through Kanopy and he saw that one of Robert Pattinson's movies was on it, The High Life. So we watched The High Life and it was a movie. The movie was pretty interesting. And if you are completely and totally unfamiliar with Kanopy, let me just briefly introduce you. Alright, so Kanopy is this really cool website that you can sign in with using your library card. You can just go to kanopy.com, click on Get Started, and then you can sign up through your library, or if you're a professor or a student, you can find your university. I already have an account, so I'm just going to log in. And the login process is pretty simple. Once you've signed up for your library or through your university, you just sign in with an email address and a password. Depending on your library's contract with Kanopy, you have a set number of credits every month. You get 10 credits a month through SFPL. Currently I have 9 because we watched The High Life. Let me see if I could find it. It's in the A24 studio videos. And It was interesting, but as you can see, there are a ton of things available through Kanopy. So there's New York Times critics picks, Kanopy staff picks, some discussions, family dramas, classic films, political documentaries. There is just a ton of stuff available through Kanopy. So everyone meet Kanopy, Kanopy meet everyone. And the last thing that I checked out was something I actually checked out today, and it came from Discover and Go. I briefly mentioned Discover and Go in the first video in this series, but let me just rehash it again. Basically what Discover and Go is it is a service that is provided by the library that provides people with low cost and free passes to museums, science museums, theaters, zoos, swimming pools, and other cultural destinations. You do have to meet your library's minimum age requirements for it, and you also have to live in your library's service area. For example, I live in San Francisco. I can't use Oakland Discover and Go because I have a San Francisco zip code. So that's how it kind of knows if you're trying to cheat the system and get like multiple passes within a year to go to an attraction you're only meant to go to one time, or get a pass for only one time. Anywho, so what pass did you get today, Rachel? Let me just tell you. I managed to luck out and I got the last pass of the day for the Cartoon Art Museum here in San Francisco. My fiance and I went, I got the last pass. He had to pay the actual price of, I think it was like $6 because he's a college student and an SF resident, so that kind of worked out. And I'd never been to the Cartoon Museum before. I didn't even know that it existed, and it was super, super, super duper cool. Basically, there were 3 exhibits going on. One was a series of portraits, and it was called Making Faces, I believe, and the artist was John, I don't remember the last name right now, but that was the artist for that. There was one off to the side that was focused on pre-Comic Code Authority horror comics by EC Comics. So basically comics before 1954, because that's when Americans were starting to feel pretty upset that comics were depicting violence, and they're saying they were rotting people's minds. And I don't know, it sounds like video games, right? It's pretty familiar. It's the same little story right there. But that exhibit was really, really cool. And the last exhibit, and the exhibit that I was most excited for, was the Batman Armory exhibit. And that was super duper cool. It was a whole bunch of recreations of different Batman suits from different Batman movies, and it was just pretty flippin' cool. And it was also really cool to watch my fiance nerd out over Batman stuff, because he's a comic book nerd, geek, whatever you want to call it, and I'm just a book person. And another really cool thing about the Cartoon Art Museum was that it had a little reading room that had a whole bunch of different comics and graphic novels and just a whole bunch of really cool stuff in it, and it was definitely a really cool and fun, amazing experience. I will leave more information about it in the description box down below, along with a link to their website if you're interested. So, how much did I save by utilizing my public library? I'm making a slight change to how I construct this tally. Previously, I had it set as if I bought books from Just Books Inc., Just Green Apple, and Just Book Depository. But this time around, I've decided to just actually include the tally of it being just the books as I would have bought them. So you may have noticed that some of the prices had little asterisks. I can never say that word right, that little star symbol next to them, and those would have been the books that I would have bought, or the location I would have bought that book from. Pretty much all of the little asterisks things, that's how I would have paid for the item and how much money I would have spent if I absolutely had to buy and or stream the item myself. How much money did I save? Let me just go to my little documenty thing. Oh. Anyway, this week the library saved me $169.35, which that's a lot of money that I would have spent. Alrighty, and my question for you guys is, what do you currently have checked out from the library? And if you don't currently have anything checked out, let me know, what was the last museum that you went to, and what was your favorite exhibit? Let me know down in the comments below. As per usual, thank you all so much for watching. If you would ever like to see me babble about books some more, please hit that subscribe button. And if you would just like to boost my self-esteem, just give this video a thumbs up. It's always appreciated. Thank you all so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and read a wonderful book, and I'll see you in the next one.